Manase Katha.
So now that we talked about, you know, impact on children, I want to shift our focus on like what what are the, what support can we provide, and resilience is an important aspect of that. So Nilu, I just want to ask you, what role does resilience play in domestic violence survivors, when we look at this concept of domestic violence, right? So,
Absolutely. And first of all, we'll just um, go through what resilience is. Resilience means the inner strength that helps a person to bounce back from a difficult situation or a traumatic situation. And it is the capacity that helps survivors in domestic violence to cope, to recover, and to rebuild their lives. So there are several aspects to resilience, how it can be helpful in domestic violence scenarios. So firstly, the emotional recovery. So it helps survivors to manage the overwhelming emotions such as, fear, guilt, shame, and helplessness. And it supports the emotional regulation, and it helps them to develop more empowered self concept about themselves when they have resilience. And it gives a massive psychological protection. In other words, it acts as a buffer against long-term psychological effects on abuse. It could be like PTSD, post-traumatic disorder, depression, anxiety, and also it helps to develop coping mechanisms and survival strategies towards them. And another thing I can, emphasize on is it helps to rebuild the identity and autonomy of the survivor, because the resilient mindset allows the individuals to envision a life, beyond abuse and take steps toward, that life. They don't have to stay stagnated in that, traumatic experience for a longer time. They have the ability to overcome that emotional damage and then move forward in their lives. And also resilience play a role in seeking support. They are being able to seek support. They are not fear of asking for help, support, for shelters, for therapies, and look for support from their support networks. And it promotes breaking the silence and resisting isolation, and they wouldn't be hesitant to talk about it openly, and then go towards their friends, their family, and their support circle, the community, talking about it and seeking support if they have resilience. And also resilience play a role as a preventive factor for future potential situations, because when the survivors have resilience, they will be more likely to avoid entering into another abusive relationship, because they know the repercussions and they know how bad it treated them. So they will prevent from entering an abusive relationship. And also they probably build strong boundaries around them about self-worth, about assertiveness, and they know how to cope up in a situation in the future. And also they have the ability to educate others, especially the children. We talked about the bad impact on children in domestic violence situation. So they actually develop the ability to educate children, and the break the generational cycle of abuse, and also the power to empower themselves and their children and the people around them. And as a final note, resilience actually it's not just about surviving, it's about transforming, pain into strengths. So I think it's a big takeaway when we talk about resilience. It's a strength. it's transforming your pain into strengths, you know, and it reclaims power and also finding hope. So I believe these are the ways and means how resilience play a role in domestic violence situations. Okay, resilience play a role as a preventive factor for future potential situations, and there is a big responsibility as therapists for us, for the therapists or the counselors, to rebuild their hope, to uplift themselves, to and improve their resilience, you know, to face the future, to, you know, more likely to avoid entering another abusive relationship. I think it's the responsibility of the community. It could be the family, it could be the friends, apart from the therapist, right? And also, you know, giving them the strength to develop strong boundaries, develop their self-worth and assertiveness. Also, give them the power to educate others, especially their children, and you know, break that generational cycle of abuse. I think there is a big, huge responsibility lies in the therapist side to uplift their hope and making them feel comfortable, and also they act with resilience and they act with empowerment and strength in them.
I think Nilu, you're bringing a really good point of like as therapists, what is our role as therapists, like and not just therapists, but as people who are there as the support system, right? When anybody who is going through that, they need their support systems, right? And if you know somebody who is going through this kind of situation and trying to help, and that
Hmm.
is a huge aspect that what you're focusing and trying saying is that resilience, a focus on building a person's resilience, right? An
Yeah,
aspect of that is bringing them hope, because when you go through a domestic violence situation, you go through, especially if the person is putting you down, their confidence is gone, they've fallen, right? And so then they have to rebuild their lives, and then highlighting their strengths, highlighting the resources they have within or around them. I think that is an important aspect of building them up and building that resilience, so that for somebody to continue, they need to have belief in themselves, right? Which is what, in an abusive relation, which is what the other person takes away, right? And so
absolutely.
that belief, which is, I think, is hope, right? You hope that your life can get better. You hope you have a future. Hope that, hope is what keeps us going, right? So that we need to find that meaning in our life along with that hope. And so what you said is really important as therapists, as people around them, when we are helping, that resilience piece is really, really key aspect of providing that support. In a way, whatever the support you provide, it actually builds the resilience capacity, agency, and it empowers that survivor who is going through that, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm
excellent.
sure with Manase Katha, Whispers of the Heart, we actually contributed building that hope
That
in
hope.
our viewers. Yes.
Yes. And now we are coming almost to an end. And for your perspective on resilience, um, for everybody who is listening in, there is hope. There is hope. There is many resources out there available for anybody going through. We have resources, counseling. We have assistance of legal help. There is crisis shelters. There is employment support. There is individualized case management. There's a lot of assistance wherever you live. There is actually a lot of assistance for survivors of domestic violence, short-term and long-term assistance. And in Sri Lanka, we have Women in Need, one of the primary agencies that provides support for survivors of domestic violence. It's an amazing organization that has shelters and does a lot for many years. That concludes our talk for today and hand it over to Nilu to summarize our talk today.
Of course, we had a very insightful and resourceful conversation. Thank you so much, Anupa. Thank you so much, Dishana. To anyone listening today, please know this. Your worth is not defined by how someone treats you, but by the love, strength, and light that already lives within you, right? Resilience is not about pretending you're okay, it's about rising little by little, even when it is hard, right? Also, remember the red flags should not be ignored, must not be ignored. They are signs from your inner wisdom saying you deserve better, right? And how about green flags? They are the reminders that love, when true, feels safe, kind, and free. So, if you are by any chance walking through pain right now, keep walking. Healing is possible, right? Freedom is possible. And above all, you are not alone. Please remember that, right? This is more than just a conversation. This is Manase Katha. This is the whispers of our hearts. So it's a moment of love, awareness, and hope. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and remember you are worthy of peace, love, and joy. Thank you so much for listening.
Manase Katha.